Okay, let's talk about one of the biggest decisions any modern business has to make. You've got to pick a set of tools for your team to create, communicate, and just get work done. And let's be real, that choice almost always boils down to a battle between two absolute giants, Google and Microsoft.
So you're here because you're staring down this exact choice, right? Which one of these platforms is going to be the digital command center for your team? It's a huge deal because it's going to shape your entire workflow, and you definitely want to get it right.
And look, there's a reason this is such a tough call. The market is split almost right down the middle. Google Workspace has about 50% of the market, and Microsoft 365 is breathing down its neck at 45%. That tells you one thing loud and clear. Both of these are fantastic, powerful options.
All right, to help you make sense of it all, here's our game plan. First, we'll look at how this whole rivalry started. Then, we'll dive into their core philosophies. After that, it's a head-to-head app showdown. We'll get into the practical stuff like pricing, and finally, we'll figure out which one is the right fit for you.
For what felt like forever, Microsoft Office was the undisputed king. It was just the default. Then, back in 2006, Google showed up with Docs and Sheets, this totally web-based idea that eventually grew into the massive competitor we see today.
Okay, before we get into the nitty-gritty of which app does what, we have to talk about their DNA. Seriously, their origin stories, their core philosophies, this stuff influences everything about how they look, how they feel, and how they work.
Google Workspace is what you'd call cloud native. It was literally born on the internet. Everything was designed from day one to live in a web browser, which is why real-time collaboration just feels so effortless. You know when you see three people typing in the same doc at once and it just works? That's the magic of being cloud native.
Microsoft 365, on the other hand, comes from a totally different world. It has a desktop heritage. It grew out of those powerhouse programs we all know, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, that have been adapted to work in the cloud. So the emphasis is still on these incredibly deep, feature-packed applications that are now connected to the internet.
So now that we get their origin stories, let's see how that actually plays out in the apps you'll be using every single day. We're not just going to list features here. We're talking about the real-world experience and the big trade-offs you have to consider.
Let's kick things off with word processing. Google Docs is, without a doubt, the undisputed champion of live collaboration. It's just so smooth. But if you need raw power, Microsoft Word is still in a league of its own. We're talking advanced formatting, complex mail merges, a gigantic library of pro templates. Word just has a level of control that Docs can't quite touch yet.
And you know what? It's pretty much the same deal when we look at spreadsheets. Google Sheets is amazing for working together on a project. The interface is clean, simple, and anyone can just jump in. But for serious number crunching, complex financial models, or creating super specific charts, Microsoft Excel is still the industry standard. Its power is just, well, it's unmatched.
And this feeling isn't just me saying it. A review from the YouTube channel CloudWords put it perfectly. They said, Google Workspace just flows better. And that really nails the seamless, intuitive vibe of working with your team in Google's apps.
Now, for communication, this is where their philosophies really split. Google weaves Meet and Chat right into your workflow. You can literally start a video call from right inside a Google Doc. Microsoft's approach is different. Teams is designed to be this powerful central hub for everything. Your chat channels, your calls, your meetings, your files, the whole shebang.
All right, we've talked about how they feel to use. Now let's get down to the brass tacks, the practical, bottom line stuff that every business has to think about. Starting with, what's this all going to cost?
So if you look at their most popular mid-tier plans, the pricing looks almost identical, right? $12 for Google versus $12.50 for Microsoft, but whoa, the devil is in the details. Google gives you more storage overall, but it's a big shared pool for your whole team. Microsoft gives every single user their own terabyte and, this is a big one, guarantees access to the full-power desktop apps.
In this different way of thinking about storage, it continues as you go up the pricing ladder. Google's Business Plus plan gives your team a massive 5 terabyte shared pool. Microsoft sticks to its guns, giving each user their dedicated 1 terabyte. So you have to ask, what works better for your team? A giant shared bucket or individual storage spaces? When it comes to security, let's be clear, you're not making a bad choice either way. Both of these are like Fort Knox. They've got the essentials covered: encryption, multi-factor authentication, all that good stuff. Where they start to differ is on the higher-end plans. Microsoft goes deep on advanced threat detection, while Google offers something called client-side encryption,
which basically means only you hold the keys to your data.
So after going through the history, the apps, the cost, and the security, we land here at the final question. There is no single winner. The best suite is simply the one that is the right fit for your team, your culture, and how you work.
So let's boil it all down. You're probably a Google Workspace team if you're remote first. That seamless, real-time collaboration is your absolute top priority, and your team loves a clean, simple interface. On the flip side, you should probably go with Microsoft 365 if your team needs the most powerful features money can buy. You're living in a Windows world, and having those classic, robust desktop apps for offline work is a must. At the end of the day, it really does come down to your team's DNA. The right choice is the one that just clicks with how you already work, or how you aspire to work. It's about finding the tool that feels less like a tool and more like an extension of your team.
And that brings us to the end. We've looked at the philosophies, the features, the nitty-gritty details. Now, the ball is in your court. Hopefully, this explainer has armed you with everything you need to make that call. So, which digital command center are you going to build?